Hey everybody, it's Janice with Creating Through Chaos. I'm going to start this project off with this plaque that I've had for a while. I already had it stained for another project and just never ended up using it, so I'm just going to use it here. So I'm going to give this a couple of coats of white chalk paint to cover up some of that stain. And I love when I can just find something that I had laying around that I never used for one project and can use it for another. So just get those coats of chalk paint on there to cover this up. If yours is plain, you probably won't have to do as many coats of chalk paint as I had to do. Once I had that all painted, I set it aside, and I'm going to grab one of these little palettes from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give that a coat of white paint as well. I did the front and the sides and the bottom and the top. I didn't need to do the back. So once I have that all painted, I'm going to take this buffalo check paper and I'm going to attach this to the front of this palette. So I'm going to just put a coat of Mod Podge all on the front of this. And then I'm going to place my paper right on it. Making sure that I get every little nook and cranny, because when I sand in between those areas to get the scrapbook paper off, it's going to be really hard if the paper keeps peeling back up. So I'm just going to set that right on there, making sure it's all even. Line up all these little squares on the buffalo check. And then I'm going to just cut off that excess paper and then let that fully dry. Making sure I press it all down. Kind of bending over those edges, making sure everything was even. Once it was fully dry, I can start sanding off the excess. So I'm just going to sand off those edges first. Once I have all those edges sanded off, I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and run it across the centers where the slats are in the palette. And then I'm going to sand off those inside areas. So I'm just going to take my sander using the very tip of it and get in those areas. And then start sanding them all off completely. Once I have those all sanded off, I am going to set that aside, and I am going to take back my board and I'm going to paint all of the edges all the way around with some black paint. So I'm just going to go very easily around the whole top edge, and if I happen to get any on that white, I will recover it over with some more white after. And I'm going to go all the way around the whole board with this black and make a nice black border. Once I have that all painted, I took and drilled 2 holes at the top of my sign. And I'm just going to push some twine through and then tie it off on knots on either side. Figure out and determine how long I want it and then tie my knot off. And then I'm going to cut off those excess pieces. Once I have that all on there, I'm going to take my palette, I'm going to put some hot glue on the back of it, and then I am going to put that in the center of my sign. And then I am going to fill that with some sunflowers and other greenery. This was all from the same pick from Joann's. And I'm just going to push this all into the palette. And we're going to use the palette as sort of a quote-unquote base. And get all those pieces in there, kind of arrange them how I want them, and then pop that little sunflower back down into the middle. I ended up cutting the bottom a little bit because it was a little too long. And look how cute this looks. Next, I made a bow out of twine. I'm going to glue that right to the center of the palette. And then I'm going to cut off the excess on the tails. And then finally, I'm going to add a button to the center of my bow. And I just picked a yellow button that was good in size and popped that right on. And that is it. This project is finished. I think this turned out so super cute. I love all the colors. I love the farmhouse look. And it was really fun to make. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to make one. And as always, don't forget to spread the chaos.